I figured I'd go ahead and, well, since I had the driver's side done, I figured I'd go ahead and start on the passenger side because I haven't done anything to the passenger side yet. So I did some quick stuff, pulled the caliper off. I loosened up my casting nuts on my ball joints, and I took off my tie rod end. And now I figured I'd go ahead and let you guys witness the final removal, the actual removal of the spring. Take the nut fully off. So that's what it's all right, now I'm going to slowly release the jack. Stop real quick, grab. I think that's a lot of cast iron there. You might think I'm a wuss for, I think I'm a wuss for struggling with that, but with one arm and off balance and stuff. So, all right, so now the upper control arm. Jesus. Yeah, the upper arm control arm is free. Lower control arm is only held in by the spring, well, and the bushings. But now gently release the oh boy. Gently release the spring, and that's how you pull this. So you pull a spring out. Now I just have 2 bolts here and 1 bolt, or you see my finger, 1 bolt on each side here. Pull off, and then I'll have my lower control arms off, and then I can go cut this steering bump stop off. You can see it's riveted on there, and replace the ball joints. Do a little modification here on the nuts for the captured nuts for the shock mount. Replace the ball joint up here and replace the bushings and the bump stop. So actually this bump stop doesn't look terrible, but I got new ones anyway, so we'll go ahead and replace them. So that's my game plan right now. Hopefully I'll get it done this weekend and I can have a roller. So I can kind of let it down off the jack stands, and then my suspension will actually be done because I'm not going to do anything at all to the rear. Although I have been looking at non-emergency brake rear disc brake conversion blocks or plates, so I can bolt this exact same caliper that I'm using up front. I can bolt these out back and use some I think I'm going to try to use some 4-wheel drive S10 front rotors, and I think they should be the same pad and everything. So I might get rid of my drums out back and then get a new master cylinder, and with that new master cylinder I get one for disc, 4-wheel disc instead of a disc drum, because they have a residual check valve. It holds about 3 psi to the rear brakes to overcome the spring, the return spring on the brake shoes. So I might go ahead and do that, and while I'm at it I might as well get a vacuum brake booster. That way I'll actually have power brakes. So power brakes and 4-wheel disc, because this is going to be a lot more rotating inertia, rotating mass, a lot more than what the factory ever intended, especially with non-power brakes. And plus I'm making about double the factory horsepower, so I don't really feel too bad about going a little extra cautious on the brakes, you know, which, like I said, 10 years ago, I never ever would have considered upgrading brakes, but well, maybe I'm getting old. I don't know. So anyway, that's my plan for today. I'll plan on pulling these lower control arm, or this lower control arm and upper control arm off, clean it up, weld the plate on the bottom, and get rid of this. Like I said, pull this off, take this steering bump stop off, pull this off, clean everything all up, paint it, put new bump stops in, upper and lower, paint my spring. I need to pull off my backing plate, my dust shield, and do some modifications and stuff. Hopefully, like I said, put new upper and lower ball joints in. Then I can slap everything back together. So that's pretty much my plan for this weekend. Hopefully I can get it done. And side note, I drove the blue Camaro to work the other day. There was a 10% chance of rain, or it showed 11% chance for rain. So I didn't even bother bringing the T-tops with me. So all of a sudden it's looking awful cloudy. I checked the weather on my phone. All of a sudden it's showing 65% chance of rain. I'm like, son of a bitch. So I checked the radar, and it was showing there was a big batch, maybe 20 minutes away. Like hardcore stuff, not just like green light rain, but like red storms, on the radar. So I pulled it in underneath the lean-to at the shop, so I was fine. And then when I went to leave work the other day, or I guess it was Thursday, I was backing out. I pulled between a trailer and an air compressor, and there wasn't a whole lot of room there, so no problem. I got it in, no problem. And then the guy I work with, he hopped in. He just wanted to see the car. He'd never even seen the car, so he hopped in the passenger seat with me as I was getting ready to go drive it closer to the shop so I can lock everything up. And bigger than shit, as soon as I cleared the trailer, I cranked the wheel. There's a post coming up on right in my blind spot. Bigger than shit. I bashed the hell out of it with the front fender, just in front of the front wheel. So I think I might have to put the S10 project on hold, because now the wife wants to put my IROC hood on the Camaro and paint it and swap out that fender, which I could probably get the dent out of it, but I think I found one for like $57 or something like that. It was pretty cheap, but here's my IROC hood. You can see the recesses for the louvers and stuff. So I think I might end up painting, or doing some body work on the Camaro and painting it. And it's gonna be black with some stripes on it. It's gonna be kind of a surprise what color the stripes are. So I think that's going to be the project after I get the suspension done on this thing. I think I'll hold off on doing the brakes, the rear disc conversion on my S10. And for now, I guess I'm just going to have to hold off, because there's only so many hours in a day, what? So I'm going to get this S10 put together, rolling, and then kind of let it sit for a little bit, which, man, I really hate to do that, but I really do need to get it. I really do need to get that Camaro fixed, because it just, well, if you look on this Camaro, it's raining outside, so if you look at this Camaro, just in front of the front tire, from here to here is just crunched flat in, instead of being, and it's all scraped, all the paint's all scraped up on it, and it's just not a good situation. So I'm gonna end up fixing that, and anyway, that's what I got going on this weekend. So I might take some shots of me doing some cutting or welding or something like that, but I think for the most part, I think I'm gonna try to get this going, try to get this all put back together with the polyurethane bushings and stuff, and get the brake lines all settled, because I don't have the brakes in on that side. I need to bend some brake lines and stuff, and the application for the 4-wheel drive S10 application, while the lines are about 6 inches longer per side, there's a goofy hard line built into it instead of just being rubber all the way through. So it would end up basically pointing straight down. I don't really want, not straight down, but it'd be pretty far down, and then the rest of the hose would have to be, snake around. That's just like something giant to catch a rock or a branch or something. Anything that hangs down below my lower control arm. So I'm not really all that keen on that. So I figured it's gonna take a little bit of creativity to get it out. I guess that's all I'll say, to get it figured out and stuff. So I got a few things to figure out on that yet, but I think overall, things are coming together pretty nicely. So it's going to be a shame to have to stop this, but yeah, I really do need to get that Camaro fixed, because it's been kind of bugging me, and I've told her that we've kind of had a paint job planned for years, and it's kind of like this S10, it just kind of gone by the wayside, and I need to start getting shit done, which is actually the reason I started this channel to begin with. So with that, I'll leave you with a little shot of my headers. There's a collector just down there. So anyway, I guess that's it for right now, and I'll give you an update later. All right, so in order to remove the upper control arm, I had some stuff wired to the cross shaft in there, or zip tied, but it's actually hitting. I don't know if you can see that very well. It's actually hitting my header right here. So I just got done unbolting my header. Let's see if I can pull this guy out without too much trouble. We'll send it out the bottom. Well, you can tell it's hit it in the past. So those are nice mushy control arm bushings if they've made that big of a ding in my headers before. So now upper control arm should. Hey, how about that? Came right out. So there's through all those wires. Where's my hold it a little closer. Hold it a little bit closer. Hey guys, back again this morning. It's Monday, the 4th of July. Let's see, what was it, Saturday night? Yeah, Saturday night I was out here working on stuff, and then the ball joint didn't come with a boot and didn't come with a castle nut, but the guys from AutoZone were actually real accommodating. So, ran up there, or had my wife run up there and swap it out. Then by the time we got back, or she got back, she was tired and hungry and stuff. So a buddy of mine came over. We ended up having a few drinks and stuff. So we kind of quit after that. So we got a little bit welded on the passenger side lower control arm. So I had her do the plasma cutting. It took a little longer than I'd hoped, but she's learning how to do stuff. So hey, I think I'm a pretty lucky guy that she actually wants to be out here, kind of doing stuff. So that's cool. Then yesterday we had kind of a lazy day, and went out to dinner and stuff. We saw a movie and shit. But I'm back again today, and hopefully I'm going to finish this guy. So I would have liked to have stuck around and finished it, but like I said, she was kind of tired and stuff, so hell with it. I was going to teach her how to do a little welding, but maybe we'll have to save that for another time. But I'm getting ready to finish this guy up. Then I got to press in the ball joint here. Got to bolt in the upper ball joint on the upper control arm. Here's my finished and cleaned up cross shaft, so that'd be nice. This here just needs bushings pressed in, and she painted that. She missed a little bit. You can still see the primer that I put on. Let's see here. There we go. Didn't quite get it all with the flat black, but yeah, it is what it is. And I'm gonna paint this spring. Got to match it with the other one. Do gloss black on the spring again. So I guess I got a few hours worth of work here. I'm pulling these, finishing the welding. And one thing I did learn on doing the driver's side is that see this little notch here. That here, let's actually get it to zoom. There we go. That little notch there is there for a reason. That's actually where it hits the frame. When you bottom out all the way, when you're doing when you're reinstalling your spring. So I had to get a little bit creative installing my spring. I had to compress it a little bit because my lower control arm wouldn't go far enough because it actually bottomed out on this blade of steel that I added. So I have some strut spring compressors. They go on the outside of the spring. So I compressed the spring down, maybe a couple inches or so, I guess. And then I actually wrapped several layers of baling wire around it, and then tightened it up with a pair of pliers. Wrapped it together, and then I did that on two sides, and that was just enough to get the spring compressed enough to go in the spring pocket, and enough that I could get a jack underneath the lower control arm and compress it, and then get my ball joints installed on the spindle so it could hold everything together. So like I said, that was interesting. So this time I decided to cut a little bit narrower so I could fit just inside flush. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna bend these down, and also I made these 2 inches longer than I did last time. So it is kind of a learning process. I've never boxed a lower control arm before, so I'll show you when it gets done. And for right now, I got a lot of welding to do. Like I said, I still got to beat this down. Got a little plate for that, and yeah, that's what I got going on this afternoon. Hopefully, I'll have everything put back together by this evening. So that's like I said, that's my plan. So I'm gonna get to welding. Hey, I got bump stops here. Getting ready to slap those in. Slap the red one, the energy suspension bump stop in the upper control arm, and I'm still kind of waiting on this to heat up so I can pull these bushings out. These rubber bushings are a real pain in the ass to get out, but I got her welded up. I think she looks all right. Good enough. So anyway, just giving you guys an update. All right, here's the The other control arm ready for paint. I got the bottom welded up. Got sway bar end link, bump stop, got a tube in there for that shit. Got my ball joint cup there. Got a couple of nuts, or got a couple of open end wrenches welded in there to hold the nut for the shocks. And like I said, it's ready for some extend rust neutralizer. Gonna run some of that on there, then some primer and a couple coats of flat black. Then I'm gonna press the bushings in, press the ball joint in. Got to press the bushings into this guy and put the ball joints on real quick. And then bump stops. I got my bump stops here. You can see them. Yeah, that's a factory one. This is an energy suspension one for the upper control arm. So things are moving along. I still have to hit my spring here. You can see it's haven't touched it yet. Been doing welding and stuff. Anyway, that's pretty much what I got going on. So, in case you're just joining me, you're not really sure what's going on here. I'm wanting to rebuild my front suspension on my little 1986 Chevy S10. So I got some different spindles for it, some lift spindles, so I can run some bigger tires. My overall goal for it is to run some 38.5 by 15 with the R15 Super Swamper boggers in the rear with no lift at all, just trimming the bed sides. And once I do that, I've got 410 gears in a locker. I think I'm gonna end up needing, I haven't done any math at all yet on it, but I'm thinking like maybe 488s, maybe 513 gears in the rear end there, which I haven't priced those gears. I haven't began looking for them yet, but that's here's a rust neutralizer shit on there. It's supposed to turn black whenever it dries. So I want to run 38.5 inch tall tires, and from the factory, it has 25 to 26 inch tall tires. So I think it had a 342 rear end in it from the factory. So I got 410s in it now, and mathematically that would keep the RPMs dead stock. So say, for instance, say you're going 60 mile an hour at 2,000 RPMs with the stock tires and the stock gears. That's what I was doing with those 33 1250s. But I'm almost thinking now that I wouldn't mind going a little bit higher RPMs to get a little more power, because those tires are an awful lot heavier than stock. I am making more power than stock, but it's also a lot heavier. So I might end up going like 513 gears, something like that. Like I said, I need to do the math and figure out exactly where I'm even at. That might not even be tall enough, or it might not even be low enough gears. So that's kind of my plan up front. I got some lift spindles, which just drop the spindle down from the, they still bolt up to the upper and lower ball joint. It was a lower ball joint. The control arms stay the exact same. The springs stay the exact same. It just drops the spindle down 3 inches from stock. So that's where your wheel bearing, that's where your wheel actually bolts to, is down, and that's where your brakes are and all that. It drops all that stuff down 3 inches from stock. So with that, I already have a 2.5 inch body lift on the truck that's homemade, that I made 12 or 13 years ago out of cutting up an old Reese hitch. It's 2 inch inside diameter, the 1/4 inch wall, so it's 2.5 inch outside diameter square tubing. I just cut some of that up on a bandsaw and drilled some holes in it and ran some longer bolts, and that's how I made my body lift. It was basically free because it was an old junk Reese hitch. I think it went to like maybe an 80s model Ford F-150, something like that. I don't even know what the model of vehicle was. But that's I plan on running 31 1050s up front, and I should be able to clear those pretty easily. I thought about maybe 33s, but I don't know. That seems awful big. I'll have to do some measurements once I actually get everything all finished up. As you can see, there's my lower control arm, so it's not quite finished yet. But once I do that, it should be I should be running 31 1050s to perhaps 33 1250s up front, maybe 33 by 11s or something like that. Up front and then out back, I'm pretty set on those 38.5 by 15 boggers. I think it'll look pretty damn good. It'll look really aggressive. I mean, how often do you see an S10 with stock suspension on the rear running 38.5 inch tall tires? I think they're gonna look pretty cool. So that's my plan. I always like stuffing big tires and little wheel wells and stuff. But that's pretty much what I got going on right now. So I'm gonna throw a couple more coats of paint on this guy, install the energy suspension polyurethane bushings, and the bump stop, the factory rubber bump stop, and then the lower control arm will be done after I get the ball joint in, and then you can put together the upper ball joint with that. I guess you could call it recondition the old cross shaft. I just ran a wire wheel to it and then painted it, so it's reconditioned now. So I'm gonna put polyurethane upper control arm bushings on it too, and I'm running, back whenever Edelbrock made suspension components, I got a shock here. It's a Rycor inertia active valve, the IAS system, inertia active valving system. It's like it's very common now, but back, when I got these shocks, I think it was around 2005-ish maybe. That was a pretty new product, so it was a new feature, and it was basically it was badass. So I put those shocks on there, did nothing different to the suspension, and that truck handled much better. So I'm definitely sold on those shocks. I would get something new, but man, those Edelbrock shocks, they don't have that many miles on them, and the shaft is still pristine. I mean, I've had these boots on them the whole time, and I think I'm good with those shocks, because they don't. I bet they don't have maybe 30,000 miles on them, and I don't know. I'm really impressed with them, so I'm gonna keep them, and then maybe we'll end up going upper control, or sorry, maybe we'll end up putting a sway bar. My truck doesn't even have a sway bar on it at all, not in front or rear. So I might put sway bars on there. I don't know. We'll see. And I think that's about it for right now. I'm gonna go ahead and get another coat of paint on this guy. Get a coat of primer on there, and then put a couple coats of flat black, and see if we can't get this thing put back together today. All right, later, guys. We'll use Mr. Heat Gun here to speed things up. It's a coat of primer on there, and we'll hit it with a coat of paint too after this gets tacky, or after this stops being tacky, after this sets up. Two coats of color. Now I'm working on the onto the coil. Got the outside of the coil spring cleaned up. Good enough for me. Alright guys, just wanted to show you how I press the bushings into the upper control arm here. Basically, these come with the these new metal bushings. I don't know what you even call them. The sleeves. They come with the energy suspension kit. Those are the bushings that actually go in there. I just got a big socket put on here and just ran it between a vise. They pressed right in there. There's a shoulder. There's a shoulder in there. They go in until they stop. It's pretty easy, and it comes with the where are we at? The kit also comes with a little tub of grease, specifically designed for these bushings, and you lube them up inside and out, make sure they're full, and they can press right in, and you thread them onto this cross shaft here, and you're good to go. So then the bushings will be in. Then I got to bolt in the upper ball joint, make sure it's facing the correct direction, and also got to put in the bump stop, which I've got sitting over there. But other than that, after I get these bushings in and the cross shaft in and the ball joint and the bump stop, this will be done, and it shouldn't take all that long. I think it's going to be difficult for me to film it, so I was just telling you what I was going to do. So I'm going to get to it. All right, there's installed bushings. That's a 5/8 fine thread. So I just got some new lock nuts on there. I didn't even refurbish the old washers, but there they are installed. I scratched the paint a little bit, but you'll have that. So now on the ball joint and bump stop, and I'll be done with the upper control arm. All right, upper control arm, ball joint, bushings, bump stop, done. All right, guys, here is everything all ready to rock and roll. Shock, brake caliper, upper control arm, lower control arm, coil spring, all ready to go. I think I got here about maybe 9:30 or so this morning. It's about 1 o'clock right now, so I don't know, 4 hours just kind of screwing around with this stuff. Basically nothing was painted yet. Well, this was painted. Upper control arm and this cross shaft was painted. This was still needed to be welded on. I still had a fair amount of welding to do on that. No, I didn't have any ball joints in, didn't have bump stops in, didn't have bushings in. I didn't have the bushings out. Coil spring was still covered in rust. This I just used for spacing for the nuts. This I've got some brush on paint, so I'm going to paint that with that in my other shop. And other than that, I mean, I got a fair amount done. I guess it took maybe 4 hours or so, but I mean, it's a labor of love though, so it doesn't really count, right? All right, guys, this is what I've got of my stock suspension left. Upper control arm mounts here, lower control arm there and there. Ready to slap it all together. I got everything finished up. I got upper control arm, polyurethane bump stop, polyurethane bushings, new ball joint, lower control arm, new polyurethane bushings, modified mount for the shock. I think it's upgraded. Stock bump stop, new ball joint, and on the bottom I welded a plate of 10 gauge steel and wrapped it all the way around so it can't flex. Stock coil spring, I just ran it over a wire wheel and put a coat of gloss black paint on it, not flat like everything else. I had to match the other side. Edelbrock shock from about 2005. Drilled and slotted brake rotors. The new seal, outer bearing, inner bearing, cotter pins. New 3-inch spindle, 3-inch drop spindle to lift the front end of the truck. To lift the front end of the truck 3 inches. I need to pull the dust shield off of the old spindle. Here's new brakes, new brake caliper, new brake pads, and old tire with a lot of tread left on it. I think I bought those tires August 15th of 2007. So there's that. All that is going to go in here. Upper control arm bolts up here, the cross shaft. Lower control arm bolts here. You can see the steering. I've got new steering components. Upper and lower, or inner and outer tie rods, adjusting sleeves, and center link. Got all new steering. And once we get everything together, I'm going to put these tires on for right now until I can get some measurements for what tire size I want. I'd like to get 31 1050s if possible. On the rear right now, they're 33 1250s. But I'd like to go with 38 5 by 15 Super Swamper Bogger. So that means these are 33 1250, call it 32 and a half, going up to 38 and a half. So it's a 6-inch taller tire. So 3 inches closer all the way around. I think I've got enough trimmed out. I probably need to trim a little bit more, just a little bit. But I think overall, I think they'll fit pretty nice. They'll tuck pretty nice in there. I do have a bunch of crap in the bed right now. So, you know, drive shaft and a toolbox full of tools and a bunch of stuff like that. But I think 38 5s will fit pretty well in here. So we'll, which you can see how far they fit out. They'll stick out past the bed sides already, which that's not too awful much. But these are 33 1250s, so you know, figure they'll stick out a little bit more. And up front, I'm kind of thinking 31 1050s or so, give or take. The truck has the rear suspension is stock, except for, you can see the traction bars there, the yellow, except for the traction bars there. And other than that, it's stock. I re-geared the rear end and I put a locker in it. So now instead of 342s, I have 410 gears in it, which mathematically puts the speedometer exactly what it was from the factory with these tires. So I need to go through and do the math and figure out how far the 38 5s are going to adjust my speedometer, which I'm guessing it's going to be a lot. So I need to go through and do the math, and I'm thinking about probably 488s or maybe 513s back there. It's the stock rear end, but I only have a little 2.8 V6. It's nothing big. It's tuned up a little bit, but it's not making, it's not like I'm putting a big block in there or nothing. So I think I'll be okay on braking axles and stuff. I think I'll be all right with a fairly light truck and big tires in the back. I think I'll be okay on axle shafts and all that stuff. But if not, hey, we can build it stronger. So that's what I got going on right now, and I'm going to slap all this stuff into here. All right, dust shield. Made it onto this spindle. So did the rotor, so did the wheel bearings, and the wheel bearings are packed, ready to go. Now, I'm going to pop the lower control arm on and press that spring. Lower control arm, upper control arm, spring, then spindle, and then we can start working on brakes. I got a coat of paint on that caliper right now. It takes a while to dry, so I figured that's the first thing I wanted to start on. But I think, yeah, it's coming right together. So yeah, I pulled off that dust shield and put a coat of paint on it, and we're moving right along. Shit, wrong button.